Good morning, good afternoon, good night, and welcome back to another episode of Positively Uncensored, your favorite reality TV and interview podcast. It's your host, Leah, and today we're going to talk about a couple from last season of The Ultimatum, their breakup, and the recent allegations that have come out about their relationship. I want to start this video by having a call to action. And the call to action that I would like to have is I would like you to not watch this video if number one, the contents, which we'll be talking about DV, abuse in a relationship, if that's going to be triggering to you, I encourage you to protect your mental health. Additionally, if you are unable to have a nuanced conversation, I encourage you to go watch another creator cover this video because any comments that negate Mariah's experience or come across victim blaming or I'm just going to remove them. So I just want that to be known first before we dive in. I'm going to ask that we have a nuanced conversation about our feelings on about Mariah on the show and also listen to what she's saying while she shares her experience. Now, I went to go to Mariah's Instagram so that I could pull up the post directly from her. It looks like it has since been taken down. Judging by the comments that I got on my video and the shocking number of people who don't have a nuanced understanding or the range to talk about abuse, I'm not surprised. I do find it very unfortunate. So let's talk about it. So Mariah and Caleb were on the last season of The Ultimatum. As stated, we did see them get engaged on the last season. They attended the reunion. And this was arguably one of the couples who seemed like the most solid. Like their problems, they did have problems in their relationships, but they were both very quiet people. So potentially their problems didn't resonate as loudly when we watched the show. What I noticed watching the show that I want to hit on first is it felt like, and whether this was the edit or whether this was the place that Mariah was in at the time of the show, at the time of watching, without having this context, I thought that Mariah was coming across very insecure, potentially even manipulative at times with her emotions. And I thought that she, again, seemed like either immature or had very high expectations of this experience that she had allegedly brought her partner on. After taking into account, because we all reserve the right to change our minds and we all should change our minds when we get further information. After listening to what Mariah has disclosed in this post, I have a different lens in which I see her behaviors. And I do think that she was in a space where she was reacting to what was going on behind closed doors. I think it's very unfortunate that the show doesn't provide a full scope of their relationship. So a lot of people are having a hard time separating who they saw of Mariah on a highly edited show and the version of himself that Caleb presented coexisting with the experience that she's sharing now. Again, I would encourage you that if you don't have the nuance for this conversation, that you would not participate in this video. So I'm going to be going forward to give you a little bit of background. Caleb had been posting for weeks since early July stuff about him and Mariah's breakup. And this is how we found out about their breakup because nothing had really been said. Okay. He randomly posted, there was a trend about you look so much happier. So he participated in that with him swimming at like a river in Maui with you look so much happier. Thanks. This was posted July 3rd. I let her have the last word, packed my life into storage, and booked a one-way to Maui. The next thing I remember him posting is he did a Q&A for some of the people who follow him about this experience and him seeming like a pretty private person. In this video, he said that Mariah saw the experience as a marketing opportunity and went on to say that him and Mariah had actually argued for about a month leading up to filming. I do believe that there's some possibility in that. And yet, without just throwing terms out there, this seems a little bit like Darvo and him trying to, um, let's get the actual definition so that I don't misspeak. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. Okay? Like it's seeming like he's really putting himself as the victim in this situation. And it seems like he was trying to get ahead of the narrative before Mariah came out to say anything as to try to diminish her credibility. He went on to say, getting attacked online for ending your engagement. Meanwhile, your ex started dating your neighbor the same week. Trust your gut. Even Netflix couldn't write this. This post, I don't know when the screenshot actually came from. I'll have to go check his account, but I think that this was either towards the end of July or potentially even this first week here in August. Now, Mariah's post, I went ahead and underlined some things because I'm not going to sit here and read the entire post. You can go to my TikTok account so that you can see the full thing. I will link that below in the details of this video in case you'd like to watch the full thing, but I'm going to talk about a couple different parts. She talks about how the statement starts with, I've stayed quiet for a long time, not because nothing happened, but because love disguises abuse is confusing. It makes you question your memory, your value, and even your role in the harm. She continues to say, but I didn't know then that I was stuck in a trauma bond, which is incredibly difficult to understand, accept, and break. It kept me in a specific cycle of emotional abandonment, self blame, and using forgiveness as a way to survive. Accept and break. Let's see. Okay. She continues on to talk about the couples therapy sessions that they had attended and how things began to shift for her. And she said that during a session, she was reminded that he did not want to be together anymore, something that she heard over and over for nearly a year, only to be led to believe that he still wanted to work things out and that he didn't want to continue therapy. Sorry for me doing this. The cursor is disappearing. She goes on to say that we both agreed to stay in our apartments until our lease ended, knowing how difficult the separation was going to be. From March to May, I slowly, keyword slowly, started preparing emotionally and mentally. She then starts to talk about how when her new apartment became available, a friend came to help her move some furniture out, and that moment was twisted into a false narrative about cheating, which is exactly what we just saw from Caleb a few moments ago on his story when he said getting attacked online when she cheated on me with our neighbor. Okay? So he's falsely saying that. She goes on to say, instead of respecting that, he retaliated first privately with emotionally manipulative messages, then publicly by sharing false claims that I used him for money and had been unfaithful. She goes on to say that there were at least 6 women that I know of that he emotionally cheated on me with during our relationship. One woman in particular reached out to me with screenshots on the day my mom passed away in early November, days after we had filmed the reunion. But I was so emotionally drained that I didn't react. I just forgave, or more truthfully, I disassociated because I didn't have the strength to process both my grief and the reality of our relationship at that time. At the same time, sorry. She continues to say, plain and simple, I was doing my best to grow in an environment that couldn't support healing or even meet me in that work. Looking back, I didn't stay because it was healthy. I stayed because it was familiar. Deep down, I still believed that that if I could just love harder, because it was healthy, I stayed because it was, she can name the thing. Looking back, I didn't stay. It would eventually be enough. That's what trauma bonds do. Sorry, I'm in the way of that. She goes on to say, I can name it now. I experienced emotional, psychological, and at times physical abuse, none of which I say lightly. And I want to be clear, I'm not here to vilify anyone. I'm here to speak from my own lived experience because that's what healing has required of me. She says, for a long time, I questioned whether I was even allowed to call it abuse. I thought maybe I was the problem. Maybe I caused it. Maybe I deserved it because I was too sensitive, too needy, but I wasn't asking for anything outrageous. I was asking for emotional safety, to be seen, to be heard, to show up with honesty and transparency. So that's the gist of what she posted. Okay. This lets me know, okay, that yes, I'm trusting Mariah's lived experience and what she says, and I do think that we should be cautious. It's not just blindly believe all women. We should still use our critical thinking while simultaneously not diminishing somebody's experience because we have decided to entrust a man and a narrative that a TV show's put out. I don't wanna compare the situations at all because they are completely different, but just after seeing how Kenny portrayed himself as a nice guy recently, it makes me realize that I need to be a lot more cautious with the guys that I like from reality TV and not just assume that because their voice is barely below a whisper that they are good communicators. Now, I wanna talk about my comments before I move off of this page and make it a little smaller. The comments were absolutely horrible prior to me going through and deleting them. And if you're someone who thinks, like you shouldn't try to control what people are saying or you shouldn't censor people. This is positively uncensored. I'm not going to allow people to say harmful things in my comments. Okay? The way that people diminished her experience and were saying things and just punching down at her at completely unrelated things in my comments was dismaying to see. Absolutely dismaying to see. And I actually will go ahead and censor you. And I'm going to be forthcoming as well. Sometimes my comments can be even just seeing the number of notifications, right? Because phone companies make our notifications red to increase our cortisol. Everything's intentional. Even just seeing the number of notifications I have sometimes makes me unable to go through them as often as I should. Because people really need to be called out, and you don't have a safe space to be harmful on my page, whether it's with misogyny, racism, ableism, sexism, whether you're gonna come on there and try to be homophobic, you just don't have a space to do it. And truthfully, if you are coming on to say something, I wouldn't want to associate with you, so go create your own video and attach your face and livelihood to it. And, let's see how that fares for you because I don't think things should be anonymous anyways. Just going back, sorry. Detour. Okay. So I'm wanting to point out Arya's comment. She chimed in early because, like I said, the comments were horrible. She said, I just want to say something. The comments did not pass the vibe check. And again, Arya was in a trial marriage with Caleb on the ultimatum, just in case you're listening to this because you listen to all my content and you don't have the context. The comments did not pass the vibe check. This woman is speaking from her experience, Mariah, and for people to invalidate it is crazy because you're probably following Caleb in his DMs thirsty. What happened to women supporting women? I hope they both heal because it's needed no matter what. It's like I don't even necessarily I think another thing that I didn't love about Mariah is I don't like how she treated Arya. I was standing up for Arya on my accounts the entire season. So I can name that. But the fact that Arya is in the comments and defending Mariah and having shared an experience with Caleb and saying that these comments are minimizing and reducing her experience. Now, I went through and cleaned out
I
most
kind
of
of
them.
can't
And to be
stand
honest,
Cody.
I don't think I need to sit here and potentially trigger someone by showing the harmful comments. So I'm not even going to. But what I'm going to let you know is they were awful and Arya weighed in on the situation. Now again, Mariah has removed this post from her story. And for me personally, before anybody comments this, I don't think that that's indicative of it not being true. I think that that people's reactions were probably pretty disturbing. And it's already hard enough to tell your truth and what's been going, and then to be blamed for that on top of it is a lot to process. That's what's happening with Mariah and Caleb. Um, it's just been a heavy week in terms of news surrounding reality TV. While I don't watch Love is Blind UK as faithfully as I watch Love Island USA, so I don't know Whitney and Lockin's relationship. I saw the headlines on that, and it's just another example of a disappointing headline, a disappointing man, something being disgusting. That's my close. I will be back at some point to go over Perfect Match, but I wanted to pop on here and talk about this, give this a full video because I did a brief one on my TikTok. Like this video, put your thoughts in the comments, or don't if they're negative, and stay tuned for the next video. I hope all of you have a great day.